Welcome back to Marketing for Your Future. I'm your host, David Binfield, and on this show, we talk to leading digital marketing experts about the kind of things that they do to help their companies and ultimately help you become a better marketer. So joining me today is Alen Kevorkian from LiveWebMedia, all the way out in Newport Beach, California. How are you, Alen?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the show. So let's just get down right to it. Talk to me about LiveWebMedia. What does your company do?
So we started out as a web design agency. This October will be marking our 24 years in business. And as you know, when Google and Yahoo and all the other ones decided to join, we decided to uh, begin doing marketing with them. So now we are a web design and marketing and social media agency.
So what did you see? Like what kind of like gap did you see? What kind of like how did you find to fill that need? Like what made you go, oh wow, we should do this?
Well, definitely not at the beginning. When Google was formed, we didn't know much about, PPC. Obviously, I don't think it existed back then yet. It was just a search engine only. And of course, SEO didn't exist back then. But as we saw, nowadays, when you think of like web design, yeah, it's great to have an amazing looking website, but how are people going to find you? So I would say probably it's been close to 10 years now. We've been doing marketing with Google and Yahoo. But the need definitely comes in is like, okay, well, how are people going to end up finding you? And obviously, we know that SEO is probably one of the biggest ways and the best ROI, in my opinion, compared to PPC.
And so how do you maximize that SEO? Like what are your practices to do that?
So one of the things we actually will do when we begin bringing a client on, we actually will ask the client, obviously we need to see the client's website, but we ask the client, why don't you provide us with the search terms that you think you would like to be found on? And then we also would like to see at least two or three direct competitors, ideally in the same area, zip code, if they exist. So we want to look at the websites that the competitors have. Because what we do is actually we take the keywords that the client has provided us, but then we also go and extract the keywords from the competitors to see what they're doing. Because if they're already doing SEO, it means that they've already done some research, which we can tag onto and look and see which keywords they're going after. Then we will extract all of these keywords and then put it in a nice report for our client. We will show where they're currently at, where their competitors are currently at, and what Google says are the best traffic for each keyword. So that's how we begin fine tuning which keywords are the most appropriate for our client. And then from there, we begin doing the actual SEO work.
That's pretty clever. So if you had to give advice to up and coming marketers, what kind of advice would you give them to help them along the way to expedite that success?
Probably one of the biggest things that I would say, which believe it or not, I do get asked this question, even if it's in the web design world, what advice would you give? And I would say pick a niche. So that way you can hone your marketing on that specific niche, whether it's real estate, which obviously is very hot right now, attorneys or doctors, dentists, whatever it happens to be, pick your niche and get really good at that so that that marketing in and out where you could just basically speak about it like the back of your hand. For us, it's so different because we started so long ago that obviously 24 years ago, there was no niche. It's like whoever you were going to design a website for or whoever you're going to do marketing for, you adapted to that. And so now we've got such a large array of clients from like a shoe salesman all the way to like a Fortune 500 company. So we're across the board. But I highly recommend that if you are going to get started, find the niche that works best for you, and then just learn that industry so you can professionally speak about it.
Right. And so talk to me about some things to avoid, right? So like what are some things that we need to like keep an eye out for? And if we see these things, flag them, excuse me, right away. And so that way we can avoid any kind of mishaps.
I think a lot of people in the industry are familiar with white hat SEO and black hat SEO. And one of the things that we've definitely have seen are other companies. I would definitely say not reputable companies. So these could be companies out of India or Pakistan or anyone who's basically trying to do marketing for an American company. And they say things like, oh, we could get you on page one in like a month or a 1 week or whatever the case is, and theoretically that actually may be possible, although you're using what's considered black hack techniques. It's considered
Hmm.
spamming, and Google will always find out about it. Now granted, they may not find out in a month or 2 months or even 7 months. So the problem is if you do those techniques and you are found out, Google will ban you and block you. So now it's not simply switching and saying, okay, well, I'm going to do it the right way going forward. Now it's more like you're now banned and you need to prove to Google and get yourself unbanned before you can actually continue doing proper SEO. So I highly recommend slow and steady has always been the way to win a race. Do it properly, take your time, and you will notice that gradually for your clients, whether it's you're doing it for yourself or for your clients, you will see that the ranking is changing in the correct direction. And again, and of course, you do have to be very mindful of Google's latest algorithms, which they constantly come up with, where you may lose some rankings along the way because if they may have changed. Like we know that now SSL is very important to a website, even though your website may not be a shopping cart. So we know that almost pretty much every website, if it's a 5-page informational website, Google wants you to have SSL security placed on that website. They'll rank you higher because of it. Obviously, if you have a mobile designed website, they'll rank you higher for it. So as long as you're paying attention to these things that Google is pushing out, because I mean, ultimately, they are king of the road. So you just need to listen to how they want you to do it and then play by their rule book to get the best marketing and strategy out of it.
Right, so slow and steady wins the race and play by the rules. There are no shortcuts. So that's about going to do it for our time today, Mr. Kevorkian. I really, really appreciate you coming on the show. That was very insightful.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for our show today. If you'd like to learn more about Live Web Media, head to dailyadbrief.com. Until next time, I'm your host, David Benfield.